Mr. Tuberville, aye. Mrs. Murray, no. Mr. King, no. Mr. Warner, no. Mr. Sanders, no. Mr. Moreno, aye.
You see not agree to or not invoked.
Ms. Warren, no. Mr. Blumenthal, no. Mr. Van Hollen, no. Mr. Kim, no. Mr. Schumer, no. Mr. Tillis, aye. Mr. Lee, aye. Mr. Cotton, aye. Mr. Graham, aye. Mr. Scott of South Carolina, aye. Mr. McConnell, aye. Ms. Smith, no. Mr. Hawley, aye. Mr. Mullen, aye. Mr. Welch, no. Mr. Cassidy, aye. Mr. Coons, no. Ms. Klobuchar, no. Mr. Markey, no.
On this vote, the yeas are 52, the nays are 47, and the joint resolution is passed. The Democratic leader.
I move to proceed to the motion to reconsider the cloture vote on the motion to proceed to S2882.
The question on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to.
I move to reconsider the cloture vote on the motion to proceed to S2882.
Questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to.
I yield the floor.
The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a closed debate on the motion to proceed to calendar number 167 S2882, a bill making continuing appropriations for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2026, and for other purposes, signed by 17 senators.
By unanimous consent, the mandatory quorum call has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that the debate on the motion to proceed to S2882, a bill making continuing appropriations for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2026, and for other purposes shall be brought to a close upon reconsideration? The yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Ms. Blunt-Rochester, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman. Mrs. Britt, Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto, Mr. Cotton, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Daines, Ms. Duckworth, Mr. Durbin, Ms. Ernst, Mr. Fetterman, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Gallego, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mr. Haggerty, Ms. Hassan, Mr. Hawley, Mr. Heinrich,
I don't know. They said that there was something that's going on.
Mr. Hickenlooper, Ms. Hirono, Mr. Hoven, Mr. Husted, Mrs. Height-Smith, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Justice, Mr. Kane, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kennedy,
No, unless you're using video.
Mr. Kim, Mr. King, Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Langford, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lujan, Ms. Lummis, Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall, Mr. McConnell, Mr. McCormick. Mr. Merkley. Mrs. Moody. Mr. Moran. Mr. Marino. Mr. Mullen. Ms. Murkowski. Mr. Murphy. Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff. Mr. Padilla. Mr. Paul. Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts. Mr. Risch. Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Lotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young. Senators voting in the affirmative: Bennett, Blunt Rochester, Coons, Fetterman, Gallego, Gillibrand, Hassan, Heinrich, Hirono, Kane, Kelly, Kim, Klobuchar, Markey, Murray, Padilla, Peters, Rosen, Sanders, Schatz, Slotkin, Van Hollen, Warner, Warren, Welch, and Wyden. Mr. Reed, aye. Senators voting in the negative: Banks, Blackburn, Bozeman, Capito, Cassidy, Collins, Cornyn, Cotton, Kramer, Crapo, Curtis, Daines, Ernst, Graham, Grassley, Haggerty, Hawley, Hoven, Johnson, Kennedy, Langford, Lee, Lummis, McConnell, Marino, Mullen, Murkowski, Paul, Ricketts, Scott of South Carolina, Sheehy, Sullivan, Tillis, Tuberville, Wicker, and Young. Mr. Blumenthal, aye. Mr. Durbin, aye. Mr. Markey, aye. Ms. Cortez Masto, aye. Mr. Schiff, aye. Mr. Barrasso, no. Mr. Thune. Mr. Thune, no. Mr. Murphy, aye. Mrs. Hyde Smith, no. Mr. Warnock, aye. Mr. Risch, no. Mr. Merkley, aye. Ms. Smith, aye. Ms. Duckworth, aye. Mr. Scott of Florida, no. Ms. Brooks, aye. Mr. Ossoff, aye. Mr. King, aye. Mr. Marshall, no. Mr. Lujan, aye. Mr. McCormick, no. Mr. Moran, no. Mrs. Fisher, no. Mr. Budd, no. Mrs. Shaheen, Aye.
I did grow up going to Redskins games, but
Mr. Schmidt, no. Mr. Justice, no. Ms. Cantwell, aye. Mr. Husted, no. Mr. Hickenlooper, aye. Ms. Baldwin, aye. Mr. Booker, aye. Mrs. Britt, no. Mrs. Moody, no. Mr. Rounds, no. Mr. Whitehouse, aye. Mr. Schumer, aye.
Okay. On this vote, the yeas are 47, the nays are 52. 3/5 of the Senate duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion upon reconsideration is not agreed to.
Mr. President,
Senator from Kansas.
I move to proceed to the motion to reconsider the cloture vote on the motion to proceed to H.R. 5371.
Questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to. Senator from Kansas.
I move to reconsider the cloture vote on the motion to proceed to H.R. 5371.
Questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion, we the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the motion to proceed to Calendar 168, H.R. 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes, signed by 17 senators.
By unanimous consent, the mandatory quorum call has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that debate on the motion to proceed to H.R. 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes, shall be brought to a close upon reconsideration? The yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks? No. Thank you. Ms. Baldwin? Mr. Banks? Mr. Barrasso? Mr. Bennett? Mrs. Blackburn? Mr. Blumenthal? There you go. Thank you. I got you. I got you. Ms. Blunt Rochester. Mr. Booker. Mr. Bozeman. Mrs. Britt. Mr. Budd. Ms. Cantwell. Mrs. Capito. Mr. Cassidy. Ms. Collins. Mr. Coons. Mr. Cornyn. Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Cotton. Mr. Kramer. Mr. Crapo. Mr. Cruz. Mr. Curtis. Mr. Daines. Ms. Duckworth. Mr. Durbin. Ms. Ernst. Mr. Fetterman. Mrs. Fisher. Mr. Gallego. Mrs. Gillibrand. Thanks. Mr. Graham. Mr. Grassley. Mr. Haggerty. Ms. Hassan. Mr. Hawley. Mr. Heinrich. Mr. Hickenlooper. Ms. Hirono. Mr. Hoven. Mr. Husted. Mrs. Hyde-Smith. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Justice. Mr. Kane, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kim, Mr. King, Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Lankford, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lujan, Ms. Lummis, Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall, Mr. McConnell, Mr. McCormick, Mr. Merkley, Mrs. Moody, Mr. Moran. Thank you. Mr. Marino, Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Risch, Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff. Oh, he did not. Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young. Senators voting in the affirmative: Britt, Budd, Cornyn, Cortez Masto, Daines, Fetterman, Husted, Hyde-Smith, Justice, Marshall, McCormick, Moody, Marino, Ricketts, and Rounds. Mr. Sheehy, aye. Senators voting in the negative: Also Brooks, Baldwin, Blunt Rochester, Booker, Coons, Duckworth, Durbin, Gallego, Hassan, Hickenlooper, Hirono, Kelly, Kim, Klobuchar, Lujan, Murphy, Murray, Ossoff, Padilla, Rosen, Sanders, Schatz, Schumer, Shaheen, Smith, Van Hollen, and Welch. Mr. King, aye. Mr. Scott of Florida, aye. Mr. Kane, no. Mr. Reed, no. Mrs. Fisher, aye. Mr. Whitehouse, no. Mr. Peters, no. Mr. Risch, aye. Mr. Curtis, aye. Mr. Johnson, aye. Mr. Kennedy, aye. Mr. Tillis, aye. Ms. Slotkin, no. Mr. Bennett, no. Mr. Schiff, no. Mr. Banks, aye. Mr. Wyden, no. Mr. Paul, no. Ms. Lummis, aye. Mr. McConnell, aye. Ms. Warren, no. Mr. Young, aye. Mrs. Gillibrand, no. Mr. Sullivan, aye. Mr. Barrasso, aye. Mr. Cassidy, aye. Mrs. Capito, aye. Mr. Scott of South Carolina, aye. Mr. Lee, aye. Ms. Murkowski, aye. Mr. Grassley, aye. Ms. Ernst, aye. Mr. Graham, aye. Mr. Schmidt, aye. Ms. Collins, aye. Mr. Langford, aye. Mr. Crapo, aye. Mr. Merkley. Mr. Merkley, no. Mr. Wicker, aye. Mr. Hawley, aye. Ms. Cantwell, no. Mr. Cotton, aye. Mr. Boozman, aye. Mrs. Blackburn. Mrs. Blackburn, aye. Mr. Kramer, aye. Mr. Tuberville, aye. Yes, you did. Mr. Blumenthal? No.
Mr. Warner, no. Mr. Mullen, Mr. Mullen. Aye. Mr. Moran. Mr. Moran. Aye. Mr. Haggerty, Mr. Haggerty. Aye. Mr. Hoven, Mr. Hoven. Aye. Mr. Thune, Mr. Thune. Aye. Mr. Markey, Mr. Markey. No. Mr. Warnock, Mr. Warnock. No. Mr. Heinrich, Mr. Heinrich. No.
On this vote, the yeas are 54, the nays are 45. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative, the motion upon reconsideration is not agreed to.
Mr. President,
Senator from Tennessee.
what is the pending business before the Senate?
The clerk will report the pending business.
Calendar number 115, S2296, a bill to authorize appropriations for fiscal year 2026 for military activities of the Department of Defense and so forth and for other purposes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we know that under Joe Biden and Chris Wray's leadership, the FBI, it turns out, was truly rotten to the core. In many ways, they oversaw the worst political corruption of the justice system in our nation's history. And now we have proof. They raided Mar-a-Lago. They indicted President Trump on baseless charges and weaponized America's top law enforcement agency against conservatives, against parents, and against people of faith. On Monday, we found out that this abuse of power had reached the halls of Congress. Thanks to internal FBI documents provided by Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino to Chairman Grassley, we now know that the Biden FBI tracked the private communications of 8 U.S. senators, including me. Now, what we have in common is this. We're all Republicans. We all support President Trump. And we all had questions about the 2020 election. According to the documents that were given, the FBI tracked who we were calling on our phones, who was calling us, where we were physically located when the calls were made or received, and how long each call lasted. This is an abuse of authority. It is despicable, and we know that their abuses were far greater and more numerous than those abuses to us. Now, earlier this year, Chairman Grassley released whistleblower disclosures showing that the Biden FBI obtained the government-issued cell phones of both President Trump and former Vice President Pence. Last month, we learned that the agency launched a political investigation into nearly 100 Republican and conservative groups, including the Republican National Committee, the Republican Attorneys General Association, and Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA. We're only learning about this weaponization of government against conservatives because the Trump administration is committed to total transparency for the American people. The work that President Trump, his administration, Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Patel, and Deputy Director Bongino are doing is so appreciated, not only by us, but by the American people. It is time for the weaponization of government to stop. It is time to make certain that these individuals who did this, that were part of the CR-15 unit that worked with Jack Smith, that were working on Arctic frost, it is time for them to be fired from their positions. And I appreciate that this work is taking place each and every day. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the next portion of my remarks be placed separately in the record.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday, my colleagues and I that are on the Judiciary Committee had the pleasure of hearing from Attorney General Bondi, who has done so much to restore accountability and transparency at the U.S. Department of Justice. Instead of waging political investigations, the department, under her leadership, is focused on enforcing the rule of law. And that includes enforcing the rule of law in Memphis, Tennessee. As we speak, the Justice Department and FBI are among the 13 federal agencies that are on the ground working with local and state officials to support the Memphis Police Department and to lock up violent criminals. In just over a week of operations, President Trump's Memphis Safe Task Force has delivered tremendous results. As of Monday, authorities have made 321 arrests. This includes 82 that were on ICE warrants, 41 on gun charges, 18 for sex offenses, and 1 for homicide. This is on top of the 503 gang members that were arrested by the FBI in their work from July 15th to September 15th. So having the additional agencies there is support that has truly been needed in Memphis to sustain this work that is rooting out gangs and criminals. Last year, the city of Memphis saw the highest crime rate in the country. In some parts of the city, shootings, robberies, murders were a daily occurrence. Memphians have long demanded action to address the city's crime crisis, but the Memphis Police Department is short 500 officers, with just over 20 people in their current recruitment class. With federal law enforcement helping keep the peace, Memphis police are now empowered to track down repeat violent criminals, including gang members who have terrorized city residents for too long. At the same time as the Memphis operation, the Trump administration has surged federal resources to other crime-ridden cities to restore law and order. In Portland and Chicago, ICE agents have had to overcome obstruction efforts by Democrat elected officials. They have had to push back on Democrat elected officials to enforce the rule of law and to detain criminal illegal aliens. To preserve the hard-fought wins of the Memphis Safe Task Force and federal law enforcement across the country, we need to make certain that these violent criminals are behind bars. Yet, in too many cases, soft-on-crime prosecutors and judges have allowed violent criminals back on the streets without bail to continue their criminal activity. Last year in Memphis, an 18-year-old who was released without bond after stealing multiple vehicles went on to murder a man in an attempted robbery. Just days earlier, a man released without bail after being charged with auto theft and unlawful possession of a weapon killed a Memphis police officer in a shootout. During a Judiciary Committee hearing that I chaired last week on Blue City Chaos and Tragedy, State Senator Brent Taylor, who represents parts of Memphis, told me that soft-on-crime prosecutors are the weak link in the work Memphis is trying to do and the work that Memphis law enforcement is trying to do. Their DA is the weak link. After years of senseless violence, we cannot allow the hard work of the Memphis Safe Task Force to go to waste. To ensure that the rule of law is enforced, I recently introduced the Keep Violent Criminals Off Our Streets Act. This legislation is backed by the White House and it would ban the award of certain federal funds to states and localities that limit the use of cash bail. There must be consequences for these leftist officials who put criminals ahead of law-abiding citizens. There have to be consequences for these prosecutors, these DAs that continue to practice cashless bail policies. So, banning these jurisdictions from having those federal funds is a way that we can say enforce cash bail and get these violent criminals off the streets. I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks.
Hello, Senator from Arizona.
Mr. President, can we suspend the quorum call?
Without objection.
Mr. President, in just a few weeks, millions of Americans will start the process of picking new health insurance plans. And I believe a number of them are going to see the cost of their health insurance double. This is, unfortunately, it's not a mistake. It is the price of Washington failing them. And it's not just a number on a bill. It's the first sign for these families that their lives are going to be much harder. We are now 8 days into a government shutdown. But make no mistake, this debate isn't about something happening here in this building. It's about the price Americans pay for their health care. Because if we don't work together to extend the Affordable Care Act's premium tax credits, millions of families will see their health insurance costs skyrocket overnight. Last year alone, 309,000 Arizonans used these tax credits, saving them an average of more than $400 per month. Many of them would need to pay hundreds of dollars more per month. Some will see their costs more than double. That's money that a lot of families simply do not have. That means cutting groceries, skipping a car payment, or saying no to the next time that their kid asks to join a school activity, like a Little League team. For a lot of folks, it will mean losing coverage altogether because they just cannot afford it. So now, these families are going to be one accident or one illness away from financial ruin. This uncertainty could also mean that insurers exit the marketplace, leaving people with limited coverage options. These are not hypotheticals. Over the last week, I've spent time on the phone with Arizonans who've reached out to my office to share what these tax credits mean for them and what also happens when they go away. I want to share a few stories from these folks who are already bracing for the worst. Because if anyone here is still wondering what this debate is about, this is it. So I talked to a guy named Rusty from Tucson. He's a cancer survivor. He runs his own small business in Tucson. He also takes care of his mother, who is in memory care. He told me, this is a quote, "I've been using the marketplace for years. Last year I paid $277 a month for my plan. I've now been told my premiums could jump to between $450 and $600 a month. That will not be sustainable short-term or long-term. The premium tax credit has made it affordable for those of us who need health insurance but can't go out to the general market. I have to have health insurance," he said. "But there's really no way I can afford what is about to happen." Rusty's not asking for anything extraordinary. He's asking to keep what's already working for him, the ability to afford care while he works hard and contributes to his community. Robin, who is 60 years old, she lives in northern Arizona and is trying to save for retirement. She said, and this is another quote from Robin, "These subsidies have been crucial in making health insurance affordable. I am struggling to pay for my living expenses as it is. My work has not been enough to provide me with a full-time salary, and although I do have some other form of income, it is still not enough for me to live on should my health care subsidy disappear. I feel like many of us middle-class Americans," this is Robin, quoting her, "who are caught up in a trap of helplessness because we do not qualify for other benefits. And yet, we do not make enough in order to sustain a healthy quality of life, considering how everything that we need to live on has increased in price. The expiration of these subsidies could lead to significant increases in healthcare costs and potentially make it difficult to maintain coverage." Now, Robin doesn't qualify for Medicaid, but she does work hard. She just wants to be able to afford health insurance until she reaches Medicare eligibility. And Robin said she is not looking for a handout. She is looking for a hand up. Cricket, who is 63, is a realtor from Phoenix. She's self-employed and not yet eligible for Medicare. So for the past 8 years, she has relied on the Affordable Care Act for her health coverage, and if the tax credits go away, her coverage will become unaffordable. She told me, this is a quote again from Cricket, "Without it, I would have faced bankruptcy. If premiums rise or these subsidies go away, I could lose my home and everything I've worked for. Health care shouldn't be a privilege, it's a right. Daleen, this next story should remind all of us of what's at stake in this fight. Daleen from Casa Grande was diagnosed with congestive heart failure 20 years ago when she turned 40. Doctors told her that she might live 1 or 2 years. She said because of these credits, she has been able to afford her insurance and medication that literally keeps her heart beating. She wrote to us, "My monthly cardiac drugs cost alone would be over $2,000 without my insurance from the ACA." She continued to tell me that these credits gave her more than health care. It gave her freedom to leave an abusive marriage because before that she relied on her husband to afford her health care. That's what this is about. When people can't afford health care, they stay in situations they shouldn't stay in just to keep their coverage. A job they don't want, a city they do not want to live in, maybe farther from family, and in the worst case, an abusive relationship because they need affordable coverage. Survival, dignity, and freedom, that's what we are talking about here when we talk about affordable health insurance and care. In Arizona, Mr. President, people like Rusty and Cricket and Daleen and Robin, they do not have lobbyists. What they have is faith that when they write their senator, someone will listen. I'm not just listening, I'm fighting for them, and thousands more across my state who are in the same exact position. These are hardworking people. They are doing everything right. They're not asking for special treatment. They are small business owners who have to purchase their own plans. They are older Americans who aren't yet eligible for Medicare, and folks who live in rural Arizona and don't get health care through an employer. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these people across the country. They're asking for all of us here in this body to work as hard for them as they do for their families. And what makes this so frustrating is how simple the solution is. We can vote today to extend these tax credits and reopen the government. But so far, Donald Trump and my Republican colleagues would rather use people's health care as leverage than sit down and work with us to protect it. Arizonans are counting on us to do what's right, not for political points, but for people's lives. That's our job, and I'm here ready to work on this with my Democrat and Republican colleagues across the aisle in this chamber and in the House of Representatives and in the White House. So let's get this done. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Senator from Alabama.
Mr. President, I come to the floor today to talk about one of the greatest threats facing our country today, Islamic extremism. You know, 24 years ago, September 11, 2001, nearly 3,000 innocent Americans were murdered in a coordinated terrorist attack carried out by radical Islamic extremism. Those of us who lived through that day remember exactly where we were when those planes hit the buildings. That day changed this country forever. We were smacked in the face with the reality that there are people who are so hell-bent on destroying America that they will kill themselves just to try to harm us. That's reality. It sends shivers down your spine, but it's true, and it happened. In the aftermath of 9/11, we created the Department of Homeland Security. Basically, we went to war. We spent the following 2 decades unsuccessfully attempting to westernize the Middle Eastern countries most responsible for this attack. We strengthened surveillance and gave up personal freedoms in the hopes of preventing another large-scale attack. But 20 years later, we have to ask, have we made any progress at all in rooting the evil of radical Islam out of this country? Have we done it? Let's be honest. Radical Islamic terrorism didn't go away after 2001. In 2009, 13 people were killed in a mass shooting at Fort Hood by an Army psychiatrist who was radicalized by Islamic teachings. In 2013, 3 were killed and hundreds injured when 2 brothers detonated bombs at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. They were inspired by their radical Islamic beliefs. Then in 2015, an ISIS-inspired couple killed 14 people and injured 22 at a party in Southern California. In 2016, Omar Muteen killed 49 people and injured 53 more at a nightclub in Orlando, Florida. Muteen pledged allegiance to ISIS during this attack. It continued in 2019 when a Saudi military trainee opened fire at the Pensacola Naval Air Station, killing 3 Americans, including 1 young man from my home state of Alabama. Earlier this year in Louisiana, a deranged person drove a truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, killing 14 people. To no one's surprise, he said he was inspired by the Islamic State. These attacks, they weren't just against people, they were an all-out assault on Western culture, freedom, and the values that we hold dear to our heart. But it doesn't stop there. Thanks to Joe Biden, thousands of people on the suspected terror watch list were allowed to enter this country over the past 4 years. Islamic extremism and Sharia law openly call for the destruction of America and Western culture. Let's be clear. Let's be clear about this. The thousands of terrorists we have allowed to enter our country have brought their anti-American rhetoric and ideology with them. We're seeing this in cities like Minneapolis, Dearborn, Portland, Chicago, and even New York City. You know, the leading candidate for mayor in New York City is a far-left socialist who sympathizes with extremist groups like Hamas. But this insanity, sadly, isn't limited to New York. We have elected members of Congress who openly support the radical Islamic terrorist organization Hamas. Just yesterday, we paused to remember the more than 1,200 innocent people, including 40 Americans who were slaughtered by Hamas terrorists in Israel on October the 7th, 2023. Hamas literally means Islamic Resistance Movement. It's been 2 years, and 2 U.S. Congresswomen, Omar and Tlaib, they still refuse to condemn these heinous crimes in Israel. These 2 members were elected to represent American citizens, and they are sympathizing with Islamic terrorists instead. It's almost hard to believe, but it's true. and they don't hide it. You know, we're allowing people with extremist ideologies, people who hate America values, to not only live here, but to hold positions of power and influence our government. It's un-American, and it's an insult to the millions of Americans who have sacrificed their lives for this country and its freedom. You know, if you think this poisonous ideology won't affect your way of life, just look at Europe. The United Kingdom, once a proud nation that helped save the world from Nazi tyranny, has essentially lost its identity. It's gone. Mass migration has destroyed their society. There is no freedom of speech. Crime is through the roof, and openly anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas riots have become a regular occurrence. And this is in Europe. This is in the UK. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer recently appointed a person with extreme pro-Palestinian views as Home Secretary. In the UK, the Home Secretary is in charge of protecting national security, ensuring law and order, and overseeing immigration. What a surprise. So the person who is in charge of immigration and national security for the UK is openly a pro-terrorist. If we aren't careful, the United States will look like Europe in 10 years or less. It's coming. We can't bury our heads in the sand about this any longer. The Quran openly calls for violence against non-Muslims, openly. Radical Islamists take these instructions literally and to use them to justify terror. It's not politically correct to say this, but it's the damn truth. Something you won't hear from the deranged leftists who run cover for Islamic extremism is about the inhumane and disgusting ways that they treat women. In Muslim countries that follow Sharia law, it is considered normal for women to be raped, trafficked, and forced to marry as young as age of 6. Pedophilia is rampant, and women are lucky if they are allowed to drive. I'm old enough to remember when Democrats championed the Me Too movement, which was self-described as a global, survival-led movement to end sexual violence. But these same Democrats who championed the Me Too movement have been radio silent when it comes to the way women are regularly treated in countries that practice radical Islam. I have yet to hear my Democrat colleagues who are siding with Hamas talk about the brutal ways Hamas has abused the women they have held hostage since October the 7th. Nor have I heard Democrats who claim to be feminists talk about the fact that some Muslims, countries that practice Sharia law, require women to be completely covered from head to toe. These women, they're not allowed to get an education, work a job, or in some cases even leave home. They are barred from gyms, parks, and beauty salons. They are forbidden from traveling without a male relative and are forced to wear certain clothing that covers everything but its eyes. But meanwhile, the men in these countries are allowed to abuse women, have sex with children, or have multiple wives, no problem. Everyone, but especially feminist groups, should be outraged about this horrible abuse of women. But that doesn't fit the left's narrative. So you won't hear a peep from liberal so-called feminists about the disgusting treatment of women in radical Islamic countries. You also won't hear from Democrats about how